Hey, this lighting's so much better. This wouldn't be a Peyton video without coffee. So, I don't even know what I'm gonna say, how I'm gonna say it, like, anything, really. Like, we're just gonna talk. So, I was told by someone that my testimony needed to be heard, so here I am. I'm gonna talk about it. Hopefully I don't cry. I'm gonna really try not to, but if it happens, I'm sorry. So let's rewind to high school. It was my sophomore year of high school. Like, honestly, looking back on it now that I'm 22 and in college, it was dumb. Like, I shouldn't have let my mind control everything the way that it did, but that's just how it happened. I mean, words hurt, so, you know, it's natural for that. But I was told by anonymous people that I was a slut, I was a whore, like, all these things before, like, I even ever did anything with anyone. Like, I'm just putting myself out there, but, like, before I've ever done anything. And, like, knowing that those things weren't even true, it still hurt because I was like, oh, people can sit behind a phone, a computer, like, whatever, and just say anything that they wanted to you without, like, without feeling anything towards you, if that makes any sense. I really don't know how to word that, but, like just not thinking of you in any sense, not caring about your feelings, like, nothing. So I went to therapy because I was, like, really upset. Like, I didn't eat, I didn't go to school. Like, I think I ended up going to my grandparents' house for literally a week. I just didn't go to school for a week. And I went to a therapist, seen her, I really don't know how many times, but I went to her. I hate talking about my feelings. Like, I don't even talk to my mom about them. I don't like talking about it because whenever I feel like I talk about it, it makes me feel like there's something wrong with me, and I know that there isn't, because we're all human, we all have feelings, like, it's bound to happen, you know, we get upset, whatever. But I went to her, but it got so bad to the point where I'm gonna try not to cry. To the point where like, I cry now because I know, like, everything that I've been through, and so stupid, what the heck. Like, it got to the point where I didn't even want to live anymore. And so I was diagnosed with severe depression and anxiety, and I remember I was sitting in the chair, or, like, the couch at therapy, and my therapist, she was asking all these questions, like, from the book and everything, and I had my mom sitting right there next to me, and I think that was, like, the worst part. but yeah, so fuck. I hate showing emotion too, but, like, this is a side people have never seen of me, because, like, you know, social media, like, you only post, like, the happy things, you only post, like, the stuff you want people to see, and, like, I'm guilty of that. You turn that out. I'm guilty of that, but, like, because you don't want to show people that, like, you're weak in a sense, but, like, everyone's human. I think that's what we have to learn. But yeah, so that is that. Moving on, I mean, I just hated high school from that from there on out, like, I was just ready to be done. I wanted, like, a new start, something different. And so I continued to go to therapy, and then things started to progressively get a little better, but, you know, those thoughts would still, like, come into your mind, like, and just for the FYI, like, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Well, it does, but I never did anything to harm myself, but, like, the thoughts were always there. Like, I really just did not want to be alive. There was no, like, I feel like there was no point. I didn't know what my purpose was. I didn't know, like, why God had me here. So, but yeah. And then I went to college. I went to my dream school. Like, I was so happy, like, the happiest I've been in the past few years. And, like, things just didn't work out there. And then I was like, oh, you know, I wasn't sure why. And I thought I would go back there. It didn't end up going back there. And then I ended up transferring, which I wish I never did, but looking back at it from today, I wouldn't be where I was at if I never did any of those choices, if I would have never made any of those types of moves. So I transferred, and that's when I got injured. I tore my labrum in my hip, and I didn't have my surgery until 5 months later. And I was going to the doctor, like, literally once every week, it felt like, because we were trying to figure out what was wrong and, like, why I was feeling pains, like, in my hip and stuff like that. So we finally were like, you know what, the MRI is not showing a tear, and we weren't sure why it wasn't, but we decided to finally do the surgery, and that's why it took 5 months. But within those 5 months, since my labrum didn't heal, my labrum actually turned to bone, so it calcified, and we had the surgery, fixed it all up, you know, fixed the tear, and then I finally got released back into, like, practicing and stuff like that, and running, and it still, like, things didn't feel the same, it didn't feel right, so I went back to another doctor, and then ended up going to see another doctor, which was the doctor that was in Nashville, and I lost my train of thought. And so, saw him a few times, traveled back and forth from Nashville, who knows how many times, like, it feels like 10, but the MRI showed a tear, but then he said that it could be from, like, scar tissue, and we couldn't really determine, like, what exactly it was. So we did more treatments. I've gotten so many shots in my hip, and those things are painful. Literally, kid you not, the needle is, like, this big, and, like, literally goes straight into the hip bone. And so we finally were like, you know what, we can go in, do that, like, he was gonna clean up just, like, the scar tissue and everything, or do what he could to help relieve the pain, and just kind of see what was going on. So my initial tear ended up tearing again, and the guy who did the second surgery, he's, like, I call him, like, the godfather of hip surgeries, because he is the one who writes all these books about the surgeries and stuff like that. So he is the only one that really knows, like, that the labrum can calcify or, like, turn to bone, and teaches that to other people. But my first surgeon didn't know that. He didn't learn that because it's not very common either. So my initial tear tore again, and then because the labrum calcified, it had caused another tear in my labrum. So I had 2 different tears, total of 3, and, well, technically 2 but recounting the first one. But yeah, so we did that. Literally took forever. Like, this was an over 2-year process, and when the first surgery happened, like, I was really down on myself, and, like, I was like, oh, of course, like, if I would have never transferred here, this wouldn't have happened. Like, I was beating myself up for leaving my dream school, but still, like I said before, looking back, if I wouldn't have made those moves, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. And then after that first one, I was asked to not go back to that school because of it and stuff like that. So I was like, well, I literally have nowhere to go. Like, I don't know where I'm going to play softball. And I was thinking that I would just be, like, done. Like, I wasn't going to play anymore. And then after after the second one, I finally played my first season at Cleveland State, and I kind of like eased into it because obviously, you know, can't go straight forward, you know, but I was trying not to tear it for the third time, because I always said if I did it a third time, like, I would just quit because I'm not putting myself through that anymore. But I was going to go back to University of Tennessee, which, if you didn't know, that was the dream school. I was going to go back there. I got accepted again, and then things just didn't work out. And that summer before my, would have been my, like, junior or senior year of college, I really don't know. Listen, I'm confused as to what year I am right now. It's been a whole thing. So I was like, I don't know where I'm gonna go. Like, I should just quit, like, go to school somewhere. And I was actually looking just, like, at schools to go to. Like, I wasn't looking for softball. I was looking just to go to school. And so my coach at Cleveland State, he said that I still had another year of eligibility left there. So I was like, I might as well, because, I mean, where else am I going to go? I had nowhere to go. And so I went there. I stayed there for the fall. Literally just took strictly business classes since I had already graduated the year before in that spring. And so I took all those business classes, and I was home for Christmas break. And then I finally had to go back up to Cleveland, and I went up a few days early just because I wanted to go, like, hit and do all that stuff. And so I saw my coach, and he was like, hey, we have a coach who's interested in you, and it's in Florida. And I was like, what? I told myself I would never go to school in Florida, like, ever. And I did that my sophomore. Okay, my storage just messed all up. So, but I was saying I never wanted to go to school in Florida, and I did that my sophomore year. But then I came on a visit. I was a nervous wreck. I didn't want to leave my friends. Like, those were my closest friends I had in Cleveland. Like, I did not want to leave them, but with everything going on now with COVID and all that, like, this was the best decision I've ever made. Like, I had a really good season, I think, personally, that I've had in a while. Granted, I've only played one other season, but just, like, the growth that I've seen over this past spring, like from January to like March when we were done playing, even just to now. But I keep losing my train of thought, guys. This is stressing me out. But throughout everything leading up to before I came to Southeastern, like, there were times where I would question God and question his plan, and then whenever I transferred here, like, everything just completely changed. I feel like there was a complete 180, and I don't know, I feel like I'm in such a great place right now in my life, at least. I mean, granted, you know, some days are bad, some days are good. Like, it's gonna happen, and it's just something that I've had to learn over the past few years. But I wouldn't trade anything that has happened up until now for granted, because, like I said, like I've been saying, it's brought me to where I am now, and I'm just excited for what the future holds. But I have to remind myself, don't get too anxious, because that's when, like, anxiety happens, like, thinking of the future, and it's not in your control. So that's just kind of what I have to tell myself sometimes. But I know I'm repeating myself a lot. This is really hard for me. I've never opened up this much to not even one person. So think of how it feels to open up to, like, whoever sees this. And if you're watching, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Sorry for the tears earlier. But I don't know. It's just, I mean, there's more that I could have said, but I think that's just, like, the quickest way to it. I could have done a little quicker, but yeah. So if you made it this far and if you watched everything, thank you. And to my friends that are watching, I appreciate you all. You're awesome, and I miss you guys. So hopefully I can see you guys soon. I am going to Tennessee in a couple weeks, and that's where, like, all my best friends are. So that's exciting. But yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say. This is so weird, but But yeah, I hope everybody has a great day, and just be kind to yourself. Another thing that I've learned is we take care of our bodies, so why not take care of our minds? Like, we want to look good physically, why not like feel good mentally too, you know? So also another thing that kind of ties in with this whole track that I've been down, like, if you're comfortable all the time, there's no room for growth. In order to grow, you have to put yourself in an uncomfortable situation, and that's what I did in the spring whenever I transferred, because I was a nervous wreck. Like, I have pictures of myself crying in the hotel room after my visits because I just didn't want to leave like what felt like home, and I didn't want to leave what I knew back in Cleveland. And so, but like, look at me now. I mean, I'm so excited for this upcoming season. Hopefully we get to play. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys.